In this video, we're going to keep along with chapter 4, and specifically we're going to work on doing a clear coat shading model on some wood. Clear coat is useful for trying to set up kind of like, if you think about wooden furniture, usually it has like a nice clear varnish on top of it to kind of keep it safe. And it does react a little bit differently than just having a shiny surface, because there is like a little bit of like a depth to it. So it does look slightly different. So first, since we are going to be using a different shading model, we do have to set this up first. So we're going to go to project settings. Let's see. Edit, project settings. And we're going to go to rendering. Where is rendering? There we go. And we are going to look for clear coat enabled second normal inside of materials. So under here, clear coat enabled second normal, and that is checked. We want to make sure that this is checked. It's possible that the version you're working in does not have this on. Okay, so let's make a new material. In your folder, we're going to just, same as we've always been doing. Hold on, mine's acting up. It's thinking. What's it doing? Oh, there it goes. Material. And we're going to name this M underscore varnished wood floor underscore clear coat. It's a long name, but we want to make sure that we know exactly what this is. We can go ahead and apply it to our floor so that as we do update things, we will see it in the viewport. So if you want to go ahead and put that on, but let's go in and start working on this. So we're going to begin by first, getting our wood texture in here. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. So let's add first a texture coordinate node. Texture coordinate. Next, we're going to add a scalar parameter node. And we will name this one base texture scale. This way, if we need to adjust how much the texture is scaling, we can easily do that just through this. Let's do our multiply node. So I'm just going to hold M and click. Oops. There we go. And let's hook these up into there. This way, this will run that texture coordinate, so if we do want to scale it, we can. Let's start to add in our textures now. So I'm going to put 2 down. The first one, we are going to set this up as, if we go underneath here, we're going to look for T underscore wood underscore floor walnut D. And we're going to hook this right into our UVs so we can scale them if we need to. We also need to work on some roughness. So for that one, we're going to utilize, let's see. Underscore floor. And we're looking for this M1. We also need to make sure that if we're tiling this one, we also tile this one, so we can just hook that right into there. We can then just go ahead and hook this into our base color. We're going to want to push the roughness a little bit, so we're not going to directly hook this into our roughness. First, we're going to look for a cheap contrast. hook this into. And this contrast setting, we'll just do a simple parameter of -0.2. And remember, we can always see what's going on if you'd ever want to kind of see each node by doing our start previewing node. So we can see, oops, sorry, the R goes into here, not the RGB. We should be able to kind of see, you know, what's going on. And, you know, it's a little bit, it might be slight, but you can kind of see a little bit of variation in there. Let's stop previewing. We do also want to run this through a multiply to really push it after the contrast. I always do that. I don't know why. Multiply. And we're just going to multiply this by 2. And if you want, again, see what it's doing, start preview. Sometimes it's easier to go it on here. I'm sorry, what is going on here? This doesn't seem to be working right. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Oops, I see. I forgot to set my scale. You see that? How they're playing? We need to set this to a parameter of 1. That looks a little bit better. Okay. Let's try this again. Let's go to cheap contrast. That looks better. I should have realized something was going on. Then if we also go now to this one, we can see it's just pushing it a little bit more so that we can now feed this into our roughness. Let's stop previewing, and we should be able to see the floor now with that. So the effect is okay to begin with, but it doesn't really look like a, you know, think about a floor with like that nice, you know, varnish on top. This looks very, this almost looks more like a laminate floor that you would see versus like a real wood floor because of how it is reacting to that roughness. We should probably take care of those normals though. So let's give this a little bit of space. We're going to add a new texture of our T underscore wood underscore floor, and we're looking for that walnut N. And we also want to make sure we're feeding this multiply node into it. So if we do tile it, it does work. But what we're going to want to do though is we might want to change the strength of this normal map. And we can do that by adding a couple nodes after this. And this is just kind of a handy concept in general of what if you're given a bunch of normal maps, but they're not strong enough, but you really don't want to spend time going into Substance Painter or something like that, or you might not have access to that, but you really want to, you know, strengthen that. We can do that right in here. So we are going to create a node called, we're going to get a node called flatten normal. And we're going to feed this into here. We're then going to make a constant node. Like this. And, you know, if you wanted to make this a parameter, we could always done it the other way too. But we would want to name this one base normal strength. STRENGTH. And hook this into here. And this would be a fun one to kind of play around with some settings and see what happens. For now though, let's give it a default value of 1 or just regular. And we are going to create a custom output out of this. All you need to do to find it is we're going to right click and start searching for custom output. And it's actually an option down here. So it's this clear coat normal custom output. since we are doing stuff with this. And this is what we're going to hook this into. There we go. It's kind of weird on what this is doing. So to get it a realistic look, we're going to want normals to be on the actual wood itself, which is what this part is. We wouldn't want to put, you know, so this is kind of driving that underwood stuff. Next, we're going to work on putting on top of this our clear coat. Clear coat would go on top of the wood, so even if that wood underneath has a normal, we wouldn't want to see that wood bumpiness on top of that clear coat because that would look very strange. That's not how a floor works. It would be a lot smoother. So this is kind of driving right now that underlay, like the wood part, and then next we're going to work on the clear coat that's going to go on top of that. If that kind of helps explain what we've been doing. So let's work on the normals for that clear coat. So let's make a new, if we have some space, if you have to move some stuff, you know, let's move some stuff back a little bit, maybe like that. We're going to do a new texture. And for this texture, this is going to be the normal for that clear coat. So it needs to have a little bit of variation, but not too much. A good one for this is the T_ground underscore moss normals. Right there. We're going to, though, you know, want to be able to control this just like before. So let's add in our text coordinate, kind of like what we're doing up above. We're going to do a scalar parameter called clear coat normal scaling. And we're going to hook this all into a multiply. So it's very similar to what we were doing above. Let's just hold M and click. There it is. So let's hook this into here and hook this into here. For now, let's set this at a value of 0.9. Oh, I'm sorry, not 0.9. This one should be set to 10. I was getting a little ahead of myself. Let's do this one at 10. Okay, we'll hook this now into the UVs to drive how much it's scaling. We then want to, very similar to over here, do our flat normals. We can do another scalar parameter to feed into here, and we're going to name this one clear coat normal strength, so we can control how strong that is. And this is the one we're going to set the default value to 0.9. We'll feed that into there. So this one we can then feed into, oops, hold on, right into our normals. Okay. So we have kind of like this bumpy on top for our clear coat. We have that underneath part too, but we still need to define the roughness for the clear coat. So that's what we're going to work on next. Let's create a scalar parameter. 2 scalar parameters, excuse me. This one is going to be called clear coat 1. We'll just do first clear coat first with a setting of 0.2. And we can just duplicate that, and this will be clear coat second with a default value of 0.1. Sorry if there was a little jump there. I had to pause it and figure out why we can't see our clear coat options in here. Turns out the book forgot a step. When we first made it, you know, if we have this selected, we should have gone back over to here and changed our shading model from default lit to clear coat right there. So let's do that now. That looks a little bit better. We're getting there. So that we have the clear coat and the clear coat roughness options that we need to hook these in. So let's go ahead and hook these in. So we're going to hook this clear coat first into our clear coat. And then we're going to hook this other the clear coat second into clear coat roughness. And there we have it. That's going to be the result of it. So that, you know, I do recommend, you know, if you're still not quite sure, you know, try out some different settings in some of these to see what it's actually doing. But we should have the effect of like, we have like this kind of coating, this clear coat, you know, on top of it. But like what, you know, try tweaking these. Like if we make this number a lot higher, it looks almost, you know, we could almost do like a ice effect. Like it looks like there's like, you know, ice on top of this, where, you know, probably not what we want for a floor. Same thing with changing the you know, the roughness. If we bump it up, like a 0.5, you know, it still has that look to it, but it does have like some thickness. So like we could really play around with this. Imagine hooking up some like noise to these into there to do like a cool ice shader, like an ice rink or something like that. So I'm going to put these back to what they were. What was that, 0.1? And let's save it. And take a look at the floor. Do we get this on the floor? There we go. A nice, realistic floor so that you can really push some of those. So not too hard. It's just making sure that we set things correctly and, you know, we give some variation into our roughness, our normals on both of those to give us this nice, realistic sort of look.